Attention F1 fans. Ferrari arrived in Bahrain with an update package that changes everything. But was it enough? Today we reveal all the details of the SF25, Hamilton's struggles, Leclerc's performance, and what N01 is saying about the evolution of the Cavallino. Like, subscribe, and get ready for the most complete analysis of the 2025 Bahrain GP practice. Ferrari arrived at the 2025 Bahrain Grand Prix under pressure to reverse a disappointing start to the season. In response to the technical issues that have limited its competitiveness, the team has deployed the first major update package for the SF25, focused on improving aerodynamic efficiency and, above all, addressing the serious stability issues at the rear of the car. This package represents much more than a simple aerodynamic tweakment. It involves a profound reconfiguration of the SF25's floor, diffuser, and fenders. Ferrari has completely redesigned the underbody fenders, the vertical structures at the front responsible for channeling air precisely under the car. These new fenders aim to reduce aerodynamic losses in the rear airflow, a critical area where Ferrari had been experiencing downforce and damaging turbulence. Work has also been done on the leading edge of the underbody, aiming to ensure air flows more efficiently toward the underbody tunnels. This flow is essential for properly feeding the rear diffuser, generating the necessary downforce without compromising the car's balance. One of the most ambitiously modified areas has been the boat tail, the rear part of the underbody. This section has been completely reprofiled to maximize air expansion in this critical area. Along with this modification, Ferrari has adjusted the side fins of the underbody, improved vorticity release, and optimized the expansion tunnel toward the diffuser. All of this is designed to generate more downforce without compromising drag. The new diffuser is another essential component of this package. Redesigned to increase air intake from the ground, the goal is clear: to generate greater rear downforce. In parallel, an evolution of the rear wing has been introduced, specifically a new design of the center supports that includes small auxiliary wings, known as pillar winglets, whose purpose is to improve the overall efficiency of the assembly without generating additional drag. This update has not only a technical dimension, but a strategic one. Ferrari has identified that one of the main reasons for Hamilton's poor performance has been the unpredictable rear stability of the SF25, something that these changes seek to comprehensively address. The idea is to offer both drivers a more predictable car, more balanced in high-speed corners, and with more consistent behavior lap after lap. Ferrari has gone all in with this package. It's no minor evolution, it's a profound redesign intended to redefine the car's character. The question now is whether this set of innovations will be enough to bring them closer to McLaren, Red Bull, and Mercedes, or if it will remain another ambitious attempt without reward. Leclerc's performance in FP2 suggests progress is being made, but there's still a long way to go before we can talk about a true recovery. The debut of Ferrari's new updates at the Bahrain Grand Prix not only generated expectations within the paddock, but also a big question: will they actually work on track? The only way to verify this was with data. And the free practice sessions offered the first real indicator of whether this technical package could mark a turning point in the 2025 season. The day began with an atypical FP1. Charles Leclerc did not participate, giving up his seat to Dino Beganovic as part of the team's young talent development program. This left the entire responsibility in the hands of Lewis Hamilton, who drove the SF25 in extreme track conditions. The asphalt reached very high temperatures, a scenario in which Ferrari has historically struggled to maintain stable car performance. Despite these unrepresentative conditions, Hamilton managed to position himself in third place. He was only beaten by Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly. The seemingly positive result offered no clear answers about the performance of the updates, but it did provide an initial encouraging sign. The car, at least in hot track conditions and with a medium fuel load, had responded solidly. However, everyone at Ferrari knew that the real test would come hours later. FP2 was the most representative session. The weather conditions were more similar to those encountered in qualifying and the race, allowing the technical package to be evaluated under more realistic parameters. With Leclerc back at the wheel, Ferrari provided a more accurate picture of its current performance. The Monegasque driver finished in fourth place, just over half a second behind leader Oscar Piastri. It was the most competitive Ferrari seen so far this year. The most revealing statistic was not just the position, but the closeness to the times of George Russell, the fastest Mercedes, and the way Leclerc extracted the maximum from the car with visibly more stable handling. This suggested that the modifications to the floor and diffuser were working in the right direction, especially in terms of balance and confidence in the rear axle. However, while Leclerc seemed to find a solid base from which to build his weekend, Lewis Hamilton had a very different session. The Briton could only manage 8th. The contrast between the two drivers was evident, and it raises key questions. Is Hamilton still adapting to the new setup? Is he trying more extreme setup and fueling variations? Or has he simply failed to find his confidence with a car that has now significantly changed its behavior? In any case, the disparity between the two makes it clear that although Ferrari has taken a step in the right direction, the adaptation process will not be immediate or uniform. The team now needs to understand why Leclerc is better able to exploit the SF25's new characteristics and how to transfer that consistency to the other side of the garage. Free practice made it clear that Ferrari has closed some of the gap it had on Mercedes. But it also confirmed that McLaren remains at a superior level. The 1-2 finish achieved by Piastri and Norris in FP2 not only reaffirms their dominance but also keeps the bar high for anyone hoping to enter the podium fight. For Ferrari, the mixed practice result is a first step. Promising but still insufficient to speak of a true comeback. Hamilton made this clear after the Japanese Grand Prix. His words weren't cryptic. He spoke openly about a component that wasn't working as it should. His discomfort with the car's rear end has become a recurring theme within the paddock. It's not a question of pure pace or general adaptation to the team, but a deep conflict with the car's design philosophy. The update package introduced by Ferrari in Bahrain was, to a large extent, a direct response to this problem. The floor was redesigned to improve airflow, the diffuser was reworked to increase downforce at the rear, and the wing was tuned with new mounts intended to stabilize the car's high-speed behavior. The goal was clear: to restore Hamilton's confidence in the rear end. But in practice, the story was different. While Charles Leclerc managed to extract solid performance from the SF25 in FP2, Hamilton dropped to 8th place. It wasn't an accident nor a one-off problem. It was a sign that the driver is still in the process of decoding the car's new behavior. This type of incompatibility is nothing new in F1. Great champions have struggled when changing teams or faced a design philosophy that doesn't suit their driving style. Hamilton has built his legacy on cars with a firm rear axle, allowing him to attack corners with aggression and precision. The SF25, even with updates, remains a nervous car, especially in long high-speed corners. The concern within the team isn't just the loss of individual performance, but the internal gap that is developing. While Leclerc seems to adapt quickly to the new parts, Hamilton needs more time, more adjustments, more mileage. And in Formula One, time is a luxury that is almost never available. The situation raises an awkward question. Is this a temporary issue, the result of adaptation? Or are we dealing with a case where the car's natural characteristics and the driver's preferences are fundamentally at odds? Ferrari has invested heavily in these updates to address this mismatch. But if after several Grands Prix the car's performance still doesn't fit Hamilton's style, the team will inevitably face a dilemma. Redesign part of its technical philosophy or accept that its star signing will need more than just new parts to shine with the prancing horse. The voices inside the Ferrari garage reflect not only an attempt to maintain high morale, but also a need to justify with technical and emotional arguments the ambitious package of updates presented in Bahrain. After a start to the season far below expectations, the pressure on Maranello is immense. Therefore, every word from its protagonist is not accidental. It is part of a carefully constructed narrative aimed at regaining credibility and, above all, results. Charles Leclerc was the first to speak clearly. The Monégasque openly acknowledged that Ferrari has not been at the level of its main rivals, but made it clear that intensive work on a solution was already underway within the team. He said this before arriving in Bahrain. They knew the car had potential, but it needed fundamental adjustments to unleash it. For him, these improvements are not a promise of immediate podiums, but a necessary step in building a solid foundation. After his performance in FP2, Leclerc expressed satisfaction with the technical direction the team has taken. He emphasized that he can now attack corners more, especially in high-speed areas, and that for the first time this season he felt the car was responding consistently. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, maintained a more cautious tone. In his comments after the second practice session, he acknowledged that the car has changed, but declined to make definitive judgments. He said he was in the process of adapting and emphasized that he still needed more laps to understand how to extract the maximum from the new SF25. However, he also expressed some frustration, admitting that the car still doesn't perform as he needs it to at the rear axle. For Hamilton, every update is an opportunity, but also a technical and personal challenge. He knows that his arrival at Ferrari is fraught with expectations, and that his performance will be judged closely. On the pit road, the message was cautiously optimistic. The engineers noted that previous simulations indicated a theoretical improvement of between 2 and 3 tenths per lap under ideal conditions. But they also made it clear that this is a complex package, one that is still being understood. According to internal sources, the aerodynamic modifications are working as expected in the wind tunnel, but now the challenge is to translate those gains into the car's actual performance on track. According to the team's technical director, this is just the first of several packages planned for the upcoming races. The goal is not simply to react to the results, but to implement a progressive evolution of the SF25 that will maintain an upward curve throughout the championship. He also admitted that the team made mistakes in development during 2024 and that they have learned their lessons. Recent history weighs heavily. The team knows that in Spain last year they introduced a package of improvements that ended up sinking them temporarily. This time the approach has been different, less aggressive visually but more solid in aerodynamic fundamentals. The statements also displayed a tinge of quiet urgency. The team doesn't say it openly, but internally there is an awareness that if these updates don't bear fruit soon, the gap with McLaren and Red Bull will become insurmountable. Therefore, beyond the words of enthusiasm, there is a contained tension. Ferrari knows it is walking a fine line between renewed hope and the pressure of failure. This is the context in which Ferrari operates in Bahrain, with drivers hopeful but cautious, with engineers who believe in the technical direction but still face the uncertainty of the track, and with fans who demand, after years of unfulfilled promises, that this time the change be real. The first day of activity at the 2025 Bahrain Grand Prix was a precise snapshot of the reality facing Ferrari. A complex reality full of contrasts, where signs of hope coexist with the technical and strategic doubts that the team has been plagued with for more than a season. The updates introduced are no small feat. Ferrari has opted for a profound redesign, not only aesthetic but functional, touching the aerodynamic heart of the SF25. The new floor, the reconfigured diffuser, the modified boat tail, and the revised rear wing represent a serious technical attempt to restore the car's stability, which has so far eluded it, especially at the rear axle. That critical area has been Lewis Hamilton's nightmare and a silent handicap even for Charles Leclerc. And yet, the results are mixed. The car has improved, yes. Leclerc has shown he can get closer to the Mercedes. But the gap with McLaren remains considerable. Half a second in representative conditions isn't a marginal difference. It's a competitive barrier that has yet to be broken. Hamilton, for his part, remains immersed in an adaptation process that could take longer than expected. It's not a problem of talent or attitude. It's a disconnect between his driving style and a car that, although it has evolved, still doesn't respond with the precision he needs. This difference between his sensations and Leclerc's poses an additional challenge for Ferrari. How to develop a car that works for two different styles without sacrificing overall competitiveness. Ultimately, Bahrain has become a quiet turning point for Ferrari. An open-air laboratory where not only the technical effectiveness of its new package is being measured, but also the team's ability to respond to pressure, correct past mistakes, and build a competitive narrative in the midst of a season that hasn't started well. Ferrari hasn't failed, but it hasn't yet triumphed either. It's in a middle ground where evolution is real but insufficient, where technical responses have arrived, but still need validation in the race, where the talent of its drivers remains one of its best weapons, but also a source of internal tension if they fail to harmonize their needs within the development of the car. This weekend won't decide the championship, but it can set the tone for what's to come. If Ferrari manages to translate these positive signs into solid results, the momentum could be significant. If it fails to do so, the 2025 season could quickly enter dangerous territory, where opportunities slip away and promises fade. Bahrain is more than a race. It is the first real test of a Ferrari that wants to return to the spotlight. And the track, as always, will have the last word.